Hello out there, and welcome back. We just sitting up here having a good time laughing already. I think that my guest, and I'll get into who we have back with us in a moment, he's kind of laughing at me, y'all, because I had to rig my mic because it broke, but we improvise. We do what we have to do here on Mindful Moments podcast with Dr. Watts. So we are back for segment 2, part 2. With Mr. Vincent Hall. Like we promised. We told y'all we'd be back, didn't we?
We did.
So we only took maybe 2 weeks?
We did.
Maybe 2 weeks to regroup.
Rethink.
Yeah.
And
we're back. And we're here. So before we get started, just like I kind of did with my guests before getting started and getting on the set, I want to ask you, how are you doing? What are you doing for yourself? How are you feeling? Have you done something that makes you feel good? And I want to kind of prompt this question for you as we get started here of who is your circle of influence? I say this so much, you know what I mean? I write it on my social media platform. I talk to individuals about it. And I want to ask you, who is your circle of influence? What I have realized is that we as people, connect to many people throughout life.
That's true.
And sometimes we feel like these people are our forever people. Right? And so letting go, if you're a person like me, I don't like change. But what I do know is that life is full of changes. It's full of ups. It's full of downs. It's full of, it's a cycle, right? And so with the cycle, you expect for, you to get somewhere at the end of the cycle, perhaps, right? And so sometimes a part of the cycle is releasing those things that's been attached to us for so long that's kept us in a space. Right? Kept us in a space. And I don't mean to start off this hard, but I want to kind of create this picture for our viewers before we dive deep a little bit. And we are totally letting the Holy Spirit lead on today. You guys know we are faith-based. Our platform is faith-based, but we meet everybody right where they are. And we hope that you take something from it. So I want to leave that vivid picture or words with you so that you can create a picture as you self-reflect as we deep dive today with Mr. Hall. Let's call him Mr. Hall. I call him my brother too, but we're going to be very correct today. Say it. Say that word.
Very demure.
Oh my gosh, I love that word. It's so modern.
It's so you.
I love it.
It's so you.
I love it.
It's so the word for today.
Yes.
Yeah. This episode feels different. And speaking of painting a picture, so hey everybody, part 2.
I didn't even have to. I'm sorry, he's back. They know you. You're a part of the family now. Thank you. He jumps right in, so I ain't got to worry about that with this one. All right, go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. So speaking of being mindful and thoughtful and demure and all those things,
yes,
it feels different. I think segment 1, part 1, laid a foundation. I think the people, it was an intro, it was ideas, it was inspiration, all of that, which is who we are. But also I think it laid the groundwork for something else. Little did we know that something else would be this. The points that were made last time, they were so needed. We talked about addictions. We talked about breaking cycles. It was really good. Episode 1, the feedback from the people has just been great. It's almost like it was needed for that moment. Help me. And it was needed. We tackled it right then.
Absolutely.
So I was pleased.
Well, you know what? You should be, because you released, and it's funny because you did a recap of the first episode. Thank you. Right? And that is a recap of what we discussed. But if it wasn't for you disclosing and going there with your guests and connecting with your guests, then they wouldn't have been able to give you that response, right? And so it's just kind of like being true and authentic and transparent through your own story, which is hard for a lot of people. And that's why we are stagnant. That's why we are stuck in a space. That's why we cannot move forward, because first of all, we like to mask. Right? Because it's a learned thing sometimes in most cases, right? We mask the things, the traumatic experience in which we have experienced, and or some of the current things that we even go through. Why? Because what are we afraid of? The word fear comes to mind. How will they judge me? How will they look at me? Right? How will they perceive me? They won't think that I'm strong enough. They'll think that basically they'll be a naysayer and demonstrate all of which a naysayer demonstrates. Right? Which is negativity, which equals toxicity.
Wow.
So we have to ask ourselves. And so, yes, you're right, Mr. Hall. Vincent, I'm a brother. Okay, we're just breaking it on down. Look, we look good up here today. But we gon' brother, listen.
It's different.
And we're about to get to that. Because you were saying that before we got started. It is different. It feels different. It's real. It's real. It's transparent. And you know what? God is doing something different. That's why it's different. So whenever God is really doing, and when you're ready, that's what makes the difference. Don't forget I'm a hand talker because he following my hands, y'all. Did y'all see that? He was like, what you doing with them hands now? He's down here, conservative and such. And I'm like, let's go. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
So talk to us. What's different about this time compared to the last time? Where are you at today? How do you feel? How did you process what you released over the past? We literally took 2 weeks.
We did.
We literally took 2 weeks.
But and here's the thing that makes it so awesome and special, even though, because y'all see the finish, y'all see what the podcast is.
Mm-hmm.
What sometimes I think people, which makes, again, the word is different and released today.
Sure.
What makes it different was we were still connected. We still talked like every day. So that's what kept this fresh. And I think what makes it different today was episode 1, podcast 1, segment 1. I keep saying it was the foundation because I was able to start releasing some things. I was able to start the conversation. But when I came in today, I know we ended on such a cliffhanger. We ended on the topic we're talking about today is just, that's why I didn't do it first segment. But it feels different to me because I've had to daily check in. Daily. I've had to be cognizant of, sir, check in.
Yeah.
That's the part I don't think that sometimes the audience or people get, when you have to check in daily. Where are you? Are you excited? Are you silly? Are you happy? Are you where are you at? I've had to, for 2 weeks since I released this, heard feedback, birth this out. I've had to check in because, of course, let's not be naive to say, oh, the addiction didn't pop back up. Oh, the feeling didn't pop back up. Oh, it was popping up.
Sure.
But I was like, today, just what I shared with you before we started the podcast, that when things come to you, I'm in a place in a season of my life now where I say people matter. I think I said last time, the what and the who's matter to me.
Yes.
I just can't get on a show now and just talk about addictions and breaking cycles and deliverance and how to overcome, and it's going to be a regular day for me. No, this last attack just happened yesterday. Yeah.
The attack.
The attack literally just happened. We just had a segment 2 weeks ago talking about overcoming.
Yes.
But yesterday, all that time passed. Everything was regular, full, great days, and starting our day with positivity and affirmation. But the one that sat here 2 weeks ago would experience an attack 24 hours ago.
Wow. And we're about to talk about that. We're going to talk about the attack. Comfortable with it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what we left off with was the last thing, and like Vincent said, the reason that we're back and we knew that we needed to do a segment 2 is because this next topic is very heavy. And many people struggle in the space of having suicidal ideations, suicidal attempts, suicidal thoughts, right? We know that mental health has increased significantly, abundantly, and the person that sits next to you could be the person that just 5 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, contemplated the thought of, how do I escape all of this? It's too much. And sometimes, let's be real, It's not even that. Sometimes it's just the trickery of the enemy telling you, because he doesn't want us here. Right. So that's a whole nother subject. Yeah. But getting back to the focal point is that people struggle in this space. And what Vincent is saying is that less than 24 hours ago, he struggled with the thought of a suicidal ideation, which is something that has haunted him and that he's dealt with over, how many years would you say?
Over 10.
Over 10 years. And so for him to be here, and I'm trying to take us into it a little slowly, because this is not an easy subject for many to talk about. And so I commend you for talking about it. I thank you for talking about it. And I'm here with you as you talk about it and work through it. And trust me, as a clinician, my first job was to him to make sure he was okay to even do this today. Although I invited him here today. Yeah. Are you okay still to continue? Because if not, we wouldn't have done it. And if he needs to stop, we're going to stop. Okay? Let's be very clear. All right? So talk to us a little bit, Vincent, about when you say less than 24 hours ago.
Yes. So being in transition, yes, a lot going on. What I do remember was I had been overly tired the past couple of days. And I remember just not wanting to eat and just not having an appetite, just not really having anything to do because I'm just on vacation. And I remember walking into the apartment. I was, cleaning. It was a regular day, it seemed like. And I remember that whole day, just like I wasn't able to rest. I just was irritated. Just little things kept popping up where I'm just overly frustrated.
Yeah.
And I remember not, people coming, hey, let's go to eat, let's do this. And I didn't want to do it. And that's not me. Because I'm always wanting to go do the latest and greatest. And I remember getting back home, got back to the apartment, and the apartment is 90% cleaned out. So I really didn't have anything to do. But I remember going in there and I walked in. As soon as I walked into the apartment, I remember walking in there and instantly I heard, go get the gun and kill yourself. And it wasn't like it was prolonged. It wasn't that I was, on the phone with anybody.
Yeah.
I was going back to the apartment, which is pretty much already packed up and ready to go. And I instantly, when I turned the key, walked in the door, and I heard, "Well, go get the gun and kill yourself." And then I remember hearing it a couple of times, and then I remember at that moment I couldn't fight the feeling of not doing it. That's when I knew something is wrong. That's when I knew this wasn't normal because it's happened before, but I would go talk to somebody, call my sister, call my mom. That's when I got super tired. I remember laying there, and that thought came 2 or 3 times. Well, just kill yourself. Just end it all. Just do it. And it happened like 2 or 3 times. I heard that while walking from the front door to the living room to the bedroom. Yeah. I remember laying on the bedroom. I remember going to my bedroom and laying on the bed, and I couldn't literally shake that sound, that feeling, that voice that kept saying, "Just do it." And it took it was probably hours of laying there, and I couldn't. I kept hearing it. I put on YouTube. I was watching worship videos, but it was still, "Just do it, just do it." Um, and then finally, I laid there, went to sleep, and I tossed and turned. I'm not like, well, do I do it? Do I accept this? How do I get out of this? How do I feel comfortable? Just do it. Just how do I get out of this moment? That was a part where I knew this is stronger than me.
Yeah, it was different.
It was different.
It was different. Mm-hmm. And so it sounds like in that moment, like you said, you laid there, you kind of processed, because what stopped you?
So I don't remember anything stopping me. I just remember laying there and I kept hearing it. But I never acted, I never did anything, but I remember hearing it. And then when I couldn't fight it, that's why I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Because I kept hearing, I'm like, every other attack or attempt, it was, I knew what I was going to do. I was going to get in the car, I was going to take the pills. So every other suicide attempt, I knew how I was going to end it. I had a whole plan. I knew what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But this time it wasn't me.
Yeah.
That was different. That's the part where I said, "Oh, I didn't come up with this."
Yeah, yeah.
I knew I was going to kill myself before. Like I knew everything. Every time it's happened, I knew what I wanted to do. I planned it. But when you walk into your apartment, your house, whatever,
Yeah.
and you hear go do it, that's when I said, well, this wasn't me. I
Yeah.
didn't know. Then I'm like, oh my God, I can go do it. Then why didn't I do it? And I lay there. And I don't remember when it occurred that I didn't stop hearing it, but it lasted for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I mentioned it earlier, and I'm just going to backtrack here a little bit. When we mentioned it earlier, it's something that you struggled with for 10 years, but this particular time was different. Tell me about the previous times or attempts that you've had and what was it connected to?
I think the previous ones, another time I remember, it was probably, mm, I would say being sad.
Mm-hmm.
I think right around the time my grandparents passed a week apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived with them for 12 plus years. So
Mm.
I mean, my grandparents are my heart. Anybody who knows me knows my grandmother was my everything.
Yeah.
So I remember that at their funeral, I had to preach their funeral,
Oh,
and
wow.
they passed, like one of them passed on the first, one of them passed on the 12th. It was like within days apart, and then it was my grandmother asked for me to do the funeral. This was all written down the years back, and so that part I was like, well, why do I have to do it?
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I'm like, well, because I don't want to do it, well, let me end it and let me take myself out of this and not just kill the moment, but then let me move me out of it, let somebody else do it.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of sadness. That part, losing them back to back, that was another attempt.
Yeah. So I hear sadness, I hear life pressures,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so for the person struggling with life pressures
Mm-hmm.
or extreme sadness, chronic sadness,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature that leads an individual, let's just be very honest, right? It's like that thought of, okay, well, if I end it, it'll be over,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I end it, I don't have to be here,
Right.
right? So what would you say to the person that is struggling in the space of having the first of all, I'll give you let me give you my part first, and then I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
If you are struggling in this space of having suicidal ideation and or attempts, please seek professional help. Call the suicidal hotline, which is 988, and someone will be designated to you to help you in this moment. Okay? In real time, my question to you to tell to the people besides using the suicidal numbers, because that's not what you're thinking about in the moment.
No.
You're thinking about the plan that you want to follow,
Correct.
right? And sometimes you start to follow the plan
Mm-hmm.
by taking the steps necessary
Right.
to exit the world,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What advice, what feedback would you give to the audience today to help the struggling individual that has this mindset of taking their life?
For me, I think when I initially heard it, no, I wasn't thinking about any numbers. I wasn't thinking about any of that.
Yeah.
But for me, it was I kept saying it. I think that's really what brought me out of that moment. I said, "Go get the gun, go do it."
Yeah.
And I think while I said it,
Mm-hmm.
I kept saying, hindsight, I know God is was there, and delivered me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the repeating of
Mm.
that phrase will go do it. And I started to hear it. Then I said, "Go get the gun,
Mm.
go do it." And then that's when it finally, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're still dealing with that suicidal thought to end it. And then I'm saying to myself, "Go do it." My advice would be,
Yeah, yeah.
is when you hear to get that feeling, something led up to that moment.
Yeah.
For me, it was, stress. For me, it was, family issues and concerns, medical reasons. But at that moment when I heard "go do it," I kept talking. I kept saying, "Really? Go, I'm about to go kill myself."
Mm.
And so while I'm talking about it, I think for that hour, 2, 3, 4 hours, that was my exit plan not to do it, because then I kept hearing, "I'm about to end it all. Well, what do I have
Yeah.
to live for? Well,
Mm.
I do have this." And it was that moment of me processing it. And that may sound twisted, it may sound
Mm-mm.
weird, but for someone I know that is going to watch this podcast, that
Yes.
That's what it was. That was the real of it. The real was I sat there with that thought, that voice, that moment that said, "Just do it," and I have to, and I'm repeating this back like, "Go end your life." Okay, so I'm about to end my life. Okay, we'll go do it. But I sat there. My advice would be is to keep talking, even though I was hurt, even though I was confused, I still was talking. I didn't stop talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't stop. Through the whole process of this, even before, even coming here today, I was emotional, and because I'm like, God, He loved me through that moment.
Yeah.
He made a way in that moment where I would have to say, I'd have to recognize, what are you doing? I know there's power like the death in our words. So as I'm sitting there having that moment of anxiety, I'm laying there, I'm like, feel yourself, end it all, give up. Why? And I had to process that.
Yeah. Yeah. Process. Ooh. How you feeling?
It's great now that I'm talking, but yesterday it was a lot. It was heavy because I couldn't seem to get past that moment. I couldn't get past, why is all this happening?
Yeah.
At the moment when you feel you're doing good, or the moment where you're finally get this release, this relief.
Yeah.
Then it's like, you get hit yet again. You get knocked back again with something. That's the part where I believe that was one of the things in that moment of, oh, it's not just that I'm upset. It's not just, and then for the people watching, it's not that we just get upset. Being angry, that's an emotion.
Yes. Yes.
But when that is layered and it's sat there, I mean, who was I going to call at 3 o'clock in the morning when you feel you don't have nobody? What do you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you're dealing with that in real time of that thought, of that feeling, and some people aren't available. Some people, I mean, the mental health. There's not too many people that we can reach out to.
Sure.
And I think that's a concern. I know for me, as a man, who do we reach out to?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not making medical health colorful and available to us.
Yeah.
Who do we go to? Who do we network with? I wish there was more outlets or things available to us that we knew about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really thank you for that. Thank you for that point, because I think that a lot of people, and that's why I kind of inserted there, to say like, hey, call this number. I don't think that individuals realize that's a 24-hour hotline, 7 days a week. Anytime you call and you're in a crisis, a suicidal or a traumatic crisis situation, any crisis, they will designate someone to you. 988. Simple as that.
Wow.
Yep. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. And a lot of people, and if they do know it, they don't really know how effective and beneficial it can be. So I oftentimes, you probably have seen it. It's been a while, but I would put these numbers up just so that people can realize what their resources are. And I thank you, because that helps people like me, clinicians, to continue to do the work that I'm doing, even when it seems like no one sees it. Someone may see it, right? So it's all of our job and obligation to make sure that A, we find out what resources are, right? B, connecting the resources to the people who need the resources, not just any resource, but the reliable resources. Like you said, who can help me at 2-3 o'clock in the morning? Who can I call? Right? And so and sometimes walking the person through it, like, let's do this. Let's practice this call. Right? And let the people know on the other line, hey, I'm just doing a practice run in the case that I need you, because I struggle in the space of having suicidal ideations every now and again.
That's
right?
Good.
And so I think that we as people owe it to each other. So how were you supposed to know? You weren't. So then let's take it an extension further. Try not to talk with my hands.
Good.
Let's take it an extension further. Let's go back to the first point that I made when I said, let's paint a picture for the people.
Yeah.
Who are your people? Who are your people? I seen something today, and I write things like this a lot, related to how individuals connect to you. And like I said to you today, why are you here? What can you do for me? Right?
Yeah.
How can you fill a void for me in my most critical time? Yeah. What is your purpose? What is your position? are you reciprocating what I do for you? Right? So is it going both ways? Do I feel liberal enough to come to you? Meaning, do I feel safe coming to you with this heavy information?
Yes, ma'am.
And knowing that you will keep it to yourself, or am I sitting up here contemplating the thought of coming to you, bestie, with this information, or sis or bro, with this information because I'm afraid of who you may tell?
And then how do we, and then to your point, if I
yes,
may,
no, please.
How, for me, I'll say, and I think this is kind of the running thing,
Sure.
is how do we get to you?
Me?
No, in general, people.
Oh, yeah.
I liked how you were saying that.
But that's
how sometimes I think people
feel. Oh,
yeah. You know, is this person, it's 3:00 in the morning, I'm dealing with this.
Yes.
They are this, but I'm already, I think the big issue is
sure.
We're already in that moment. How do we get to, we may not know how to articulate, I'm grieving, I'm dealing with these mental health. I mean, I say this respectfully, you all as the clinician, that's your job.
Yeah.
We are oftentimes dealing with the brokenness, the hurt. We don't know how to, as a man, we don't know how to articulate. Oh, I'm da 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 da. No, we're trying to get help. So I love the point when you said, let's walk through this.
Absolutely.
Walk that gentleman through.
Absolutely.
Sir, we're calling 989. But before we get to the phone to call 989, what have you made available to him?
Yeah.
What is that past relationship?
There you go.
Because I may not feel comfortable calling person A, B, and C.
Sure.
But I know I can text this person.
Yes.
I know this texting option. That's where I'm so big on is, what am I doing before I get to you?
Yeah.
I know I can text Teresa. I'm doing. I can't call her at 3. I know I can call her at 3, but I can't call her at 3.
Right.
But I can text this number.
Right.
And get assistance. And I'll text you, I feel this, because maybe I just need to be heard. Maybe the person that's watching this broadcast is saying, hey, I lost a loved one. I'm being displaced. I feel this. So maybe you're not suicidal per se, but you feel lost or confused, or you feel amused, you feel hilarious, whatever your moment is. But if there was an option to say, hey, I currently feel this, or what up, I'm hungry.
Yes.
Being able to say that, for I think is so important. And you often will say, how are you?
Yes.
Those 3 words can change the whole thing.
Yes.
And if that was made available to a young guy or some 34 years old, bro, you good?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a style of, maybe somebody is an audio learner to send a voice clip to someone. Hey, you can make it.
That's right.
I mean, there's so many.
Right.
For me to hear something at 3:00 in the morning to text you, text a clinician, and for them to send a voice record. Maybe you have pre-recording saved on your phone.
Yeah.
These are just ideas I'm just getting downloaded.
I hear.
So if
I
you
love it. Maybe you'll be creating it.
If you,
and there are many things like that, and that's why I say even with the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is what it is. And you can call them at 988. You can text them 988, and you can chat with them in English and in Spanish.
Wow.
So there's 2, different languages. So don't, just because you don't speak English does not mean that there's not help for you, right? And vice versa.
Right.
And sometimes, again, we don't know the difference, because I might not want to tell you over the phone.
Right.
I may just want to text it to you. I mean, we'll just want to chat. Right? So 988 right now is the number that is a universal number for individuals to use. 988. Okay? How you feeling?
Great.
Yeah?
It's a part 3 because this is...
It's getting steep.
It is.
It's getting steep. So, do you have... No. Okay. All right. It's getting steep. And it can. And that was good information. Especially the latter part, right? Because the goal for this is to help the next person, right? And to also heal from what you're going through.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. I think you feel a little lighter. I feel a little, the load is a little lighter.
Yeah,
I told y'all he's funny, like he's laughing. So I can't really look at him too long because he makes me laugh. And it'll be like his comedy coming out. Because he's still laughing at my mic, y'all. So we just want to say thank you to Vincent. Vincent, tell the people again where they can find you.
Facebook, Vincent L. Hall.
Are you not vibing with Vincent anymore? Okay, sorry. Oh, is that a whole nother show? Okay, y'all. Sorry. Take that out. Okay. Where do we find you?
I love my sister.
Where do we find you?
Vincent L.
Vincent L. Hall on Facebook, Instagram.
Yep.
Are you on TikTok?
Not yet.
Okay. Are you on Twitter?
Nope.
Snap?
Nope.
All right. Facebook and IG. A lot goes on Facebook and IG. That's enough, actually, for me to be honest with you. But trust me, you can find him. He spits out a lot of great knowledge on there, helpful information for the people. This is a man of God. He is growing. God is transitioning him. He is a changed man. He's a changed man. Vincent is like elevating. I think it's moving so fast that he don't know what to do with it. Yeah. That's another show. That's another show. That's for the next show. And I promise to bring him back. And you all know who I am. We will see you the next time on Mindful Moments Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.